All right, everybody. We are back once again live with Dave Hall he's answering your retirement questions. Dave, how are you?
I am amazing. I am so happy to be here Wednesday again. We're back. We're together. Looks like you're still quarantined at home,
I
and I'm
am.
quarantined at home in my office just because that's where I work.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this will be one more week of me sitting at home and with this awesome setup we have here. But next week, we'll be back into the studio.
Yeah, so next week you're going to be back in the studio. Next week I'll be out of the studio. I'll be in Utah next week at my other home there, and so we won't have the typical set. Still looking forward to being able to get together, answer questions, and do it no matter where we're at.
That's awesome. So, Dave, let's remind everybody what we're doing here on Facebook and YouTube Live, and what our purpose is.
Yeah, so our goal here is to make sure we can answer your questions so you can get to a safe and secure retirement. Realize that people are not prepared the way they should be. They have questions that have not been answered. They misunderstand government programs. You name it. They're just everything. Now, we don't deal with personal issues. We don't deal with anything regarding your pets. That's not what this is a presentation for. But if you've got retirement questions for you, we're here to answer those.
And I'm so glad you take time out of your day to do this, because it's important that we get this put together. And so I've got Lynn jumping on, and Lynn saying, how do we get sound? So I'm hoping that if you just click, if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, in the bottom corner, there should be a little microphone that you can click on and turn up. So I'm hoping that will work for you. If you're tuning in live right now, I'd love to hear that, see if you can hear us. Go ahead and put a comment on there. Let us know, and let us know where you're watching from. And Dave, it's always exciting.
Unfortunately, I don't know sign language, CR, so there's no way if we don't have sound, it's going to be a pretty dull show for those on the other end.
We also have your friend on here, Dave. Gary's joining us.
Well, Gary, good morning. Welcome. I saw you this morning on the webinar. I'm always glad to have you supporting what we're doing. Always glad to see you, and thanks for your questions earlier today.
So we love having those who are part of this group that's always been around, so we're so excited to have them join us. And it looks like we've got Lynn saying she was able to get her sound. So just to expand the presentation, I guess, that'll make it work. And it looks like Gary is joining us from San Francisco Bay Area. Man, that would be fun to be there right now.
Yeah, it would. Probably a little bit warmer than where you're at. Maybe not a ton, but I would guess you've got a little bit warmer weather there.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you guys for joining and being here live with us. And again, we are encouraging you to ask your questions about retirement. So we're talking Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare, and we're just talking everything about making sure that whatever your questions are about retirement, that you can jump on while we're going through talking to Dave. And sorry, I'm seeing so many comments pop in here. It's hard to keep focused and going forward. So we also have Lynn that's joining from Central Florida. So Dave, before I just keep rambling, let's go on and get our first question out of the way here.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so Dave, the question I have is from Kathy. And Kathy says, will my Social Security payment be increasing in 2021?
Kathy, yes, it will be. Now, unfortunately, I've not looked at the increased rates. I did hear that there was a COLA increase this year. It's all based on COLA increases every year, and that there would be an increase for 2021. So you will see more money coming into your bank account in 2021. That's one of the great things about the Social Security program. You know, many people beat up Social Security. Many people think it's going broke. Many people worry about the program. This thing's been producing retirement income for 85 years. 85 years we've had retirees enjoying the benefits. It's going to continue on for decades to come. And the greatest part of it is it's inflation adjusted, guaranteed lifetime income. So as the cost of living goes up, it's your one source of income retirees can count on to make sure they keep their buying power.
Dave, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Social Security is going broke, but will never be broke. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one thing that people need to understand is they get so overly concerned about it. They think, oh, I won't put money into the program, especially if they're self-employed. I see this all the time. People are like, oh, I'll just take distributions from my S Corp or whatever. I won't put any money in here. And then they don't end up investing money anywhere else. So the program that may be struggling a little bit is going to have to require some fixes to be where it needs to be. They don't put in, and then they don't put it anywhere else, and now they have nothing. Now they're stuck with an even worse situation. So yeah, it is going broke, but it's never going to be broke. That's not something that's going to happen. The government will fix it. Before that happens, we've got too many people that rely upon it for their only source of income in the retirement years.
And Dave, I've got a number of questions coming in here. Gary says, I listen to you, Dave, over and over again so that I can improve my presentation skills in front of my clients and other larger audiences.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. Wish you the best. I sometimes realize that I've got many flaws, but I will tell you the best thing that helped me is Toastmasters. Now, to me, I think the name's the strangest name in the whole wide world for a public speaking group, but it's been amazing what it's done for me to be able to get up on a weekly basis in front of a crowd. Now, that crowd now is a video screen like we have now, but to be able to get up, give talks, to be able to give presentations, and be able to better focus through evaluations on what I can do better to present for those that I'm in front of.
And Dave, you do a great job. I mean, again, we just got through your 100th webinar. I mean, isn't that amazing? So, I mean, obviously, besides Toastmasters, I think another skill is making sure you just consistently deliver topics over and over.
Yeah, when I look back at what we've done over the last year, it just amazes me. I would have never thought when we launched the retirement topic back really a year ago, November was the first class we ever held on retirement. Now, we had done classes on other topics throughout our lives. We've done radio shows and other things, but for the retirement environment to be able to do 100 shows just on one platform, that doesn't include other platforms, but our main platform to do 100 shows, pretty amazing. We've educated CR 47,000 people just in those webinars that we've taught during the last year.
Yeah, well, Dave, I just think that's so awesome. I'm so grateful that I could be a small part of this because I feel like I improve every time as well. Obviously, today I'm stumbling around as we're trying to get through some of these new challenges. But, you know, that's what live is all about. You just continue to just kind of weather the storm. Unlike Lynn from Central Florida, where she said the windows are open and weather is great. And that's a different storm. But I'm just so glad.
I'll tell you, I just moved from Puerto Rico 6 months ago, and this time of year, I'm missing it. I used to could get up 6 o'clock in the morning, go out, walk the dog. It's 70 degrees every morning. Now I get up, it's 36 degrees here in Tennessee, and me and the dog both want to go back in the house.
Well, Dave, I've got a lot of comments and questions, so I'm going to pick one out here from YouTube. And this is Melinda, and she said, can you go over income limits for Roth IRA? That little A was missing, but.
Yeah, so what you've got is you've got a couple of situations here. You can make too much money, and unfortunately, I don't know the exact cutoffs of what that is. You can find that online if you just do a quick search. But if you make too much money, you're not going to be able to contribute, and that's going to be different based upon your marital status. If you're a married couple, you're going to have a higher rate than if you're a single individual. And you can also have too little amount of money. So if you've got a situation where you don't have any earned income, you can't contribute into a Roth. If all of your income's passive, maybe through real estate or somewhere else, you're not going to be able to contribute in. So very big issue for many people, especially if they've got non-standard income that's coming into their lives. But it's something you've got to be aware of, because if you end up contributing and you don't meet the limits, now you've got a tax issue that you're going to have to deal with once that money goes in.
Great advice. Melinda, I hope that helps. If you have any other questions or follow-up, please let us know. And we had another one from Lynn coming in, Dave. And this is from Facebook. And Lynn says, what's the best advice to give to a client whose parent may need assisted living and has no assets and the only source of income is Social Security?
Lynn, great question. The best advice I can give you is, when you look at this situation, is they're going to need to go apply for Medicaid. They're going to have to go through the Medicaid process in your state. That's going to vary from state to state. But if they have an assisted living need, Medicaid's going to step in and cover that. Now, that can be done. I've never gone through the process myself, having to fill out the paperwork. So I'm not sure if you go to your state office or if you were to pick out a Medicaid funded long-term care facility, if they would help you do the paperwork, because they realize that's the only way they'll get paid. But you are going to need to go through the Medicaid programs. Medicare will only cover 20 days. So not long enough for a typical assisted living issue. And so you'll have to do that, and be aware you've got to go into a Medicaid funded facility. All facilities out there do not accept Medicaid. And if they don't, obviously Social Security is not going to be enough to cover the cost that's going to take to keep them inside of that facility.
And Dave, we got a follow-up question, or kind of a added piece here from Gary. So Melinda, let me go back and see if I can do this, spit this out today. But Melinda was talking about the income limits for the Roth IRA. And Gary suggested for Melinda, could she use a backdoor Roth IRA to circumvent the income limitations? I guess tell us a little bit about a backdoor Roth IRA also.
Yeah, Gary, this is a great recommendation for the right person. And potentially this is definitely something Melinda could use. So the way the backdoor Roth IRA works is you're putting it into your traditional account and then immediately converting it over. So you're doing a Roth conversion, which does not have income limits. Only thing you want to do is be very careful if you're doing this to not go out and try to do it yourself. You're going to want an advisor who can walk you through it, because if you've got assets already in your IRA, it's going to create issues if you've got traditional IRA that already has income in there, because the transition isn't going to be just the dollars you just put in. So many people think, okay, if I put $7,000 into a traditional IRA and then I do this backdoor conversion, all I'm doing is taking those $7,000 I just put in and I'm moving that $7,000. That's not the case. What they're going to do is take earnings from your portfolio as a whole, calculate what you put in compared to the value. So you want to make sure you deal with that. And then there are other rules that you want to follow that an advisor who handles this will be able to walk you through, just to make sure it's done correctly. But Gary, you're right. Maybe a great option to get money into the Roth if Melinda meets all the qualifications to do that.
And Dave, one of our favorite weekly viewers that tunes in every time is Karen. She said, "Hey guys, nice to be here with you again. And we love to have all of you who keep joining us week after week, because we're always talking about different questions here within the retirement. So it's so great to have so many of you tuning in today."
Yeah, Kristen, welcome back. Always good. Or Karen, I cannot call you Kristen. Sorry about that. As I look at your last name, I know who you are. I see you every week, and I'm so glad you're here. But Karen, thank you so much for being with us again. Always great to have you here.
And Melinda says, great advice on Toastmasters. And you're never going to believe this, but Gary belongs to 3 Toastmaster clubs.
Okay, Gary, you're making me feel bad. I'm only a one clubber. That's all I end up in. But it is an amazing opportunity for people. If you're on this and you are struggling with your speaking skills or you want to improve, great place to learn, because there's nothing like being analyzed. That's one of the challenges. People always come to me and they're like, "Dave, don't you go back through all of your stuff that you do?" Well, with 100 webinars, it's pretty hard to take the time to go back through and listen to all of those. So Toastmasters provide me an opportunity to give a speech or to perform, and then have someone come back and immediately analyze, try to remove the filler words, try to remove the ahs, the uhs, those type of things. Maybe a word that you get stuck on. That happens to us all the time, that we have words that we just get stuck in our mind. We start repeating those. Toastmasters will definitely help you solve those problems.
Or you can just jump on Facebook or YouTube Live and just botch it once in a while and just figure out how to fix it. So again, it's just about, making sure you just keep trying, because that's the way we continually get better, is we just keep doing. And some days you're going to continually get forward and do well. Like my son, he started a YouTube channel, and the first one he's like, "Dad, I'm really struggling." Well, after his 50th one, he's probably going to feel pretty amazing. But if you just don't start, you're never going to get there. So.
And the other thing you got to remember too is it's like your retirement. Be yourself. Your retirement's going to look different than everyone else's, and your presentation skills are going to look different than everyone else's. If you're yourself, and you're going to relate to an audience, and as you do that, you're going to find happiness and joy in what you're doing. But just be yourself, and the same with your retirement. We talk about a lot of overall planning, especially in webinars. I give examples all the time. And people look at those and are like, "Wait, my retirement doesn't look that way." Well, no, it doesn't. And I don't want it to. What I wanted to do is to take what you want that to look like, take the tools and the information I give you, and then go create your plan. Then make it work for you so you can have the retirement of your dreams.
Exactly. And Dave, I just really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and answer questions and really help all those viewers to really understand what retirement is. And especially what you said is what it is for them. Very unique. Not everybody has the same cookie cutter mold, and we We really want everyone to understand that. And Dave, we're just going to encourage those who are watching live to go ahead and submit your retirement questions. And as you do that, we'll pop on in between and get those answered for you. So Dave, my next one I have is from Gene here. What happens if you end up in long-term care facility and have a fixed income annuity? Does Medicaid require you to cash out that annuity before they will step in?
Yeah, let me answer this question by giving a little bit more information first. As we get here, we talked a little bit about it before with the question we'd had in regards to an assisted living facility. So Medicare itself covers the first 20 days if you get into that facility out of the hospital. If you've been in the hospital, had at least a 3-day stay there where you were admitted, you can get the first 20 days covered. Outside of that, then it's your responsibility to spend down assets before Medicaid steps in. So what we're talking about here is someone that has an annuity that may be much larger in value than the assets that you're allowed to keep. Depending on which state you're in, it can be anywhere from $25,000 to $128,000 of assets. Luckily, the way the government works is they don't count an annuity towards your asset value. So you would not have to cash it out. You would not have to liquidate it. Now, it will be counted towards your income stream that you're allowed to keep. So you may have to use part of the annuity to pay for long-term care costs without being able to keep that to pay for other expenses you may have in your home. But you're not going to have to liquidate that, which is great news for those who have them. And also a planning strategy. If you've got into a situation where you're looking at having to spend down your assets, I would meet with an advisor because an annuity may be an option for you to help protect some of that asset value.
Dave, are you finding annuities are catching more positive wind right now, or are they negative still? What's your take on that?
Yeah, they're definitely getting a much more positive look, and they're getting a much more positive look from people that have been against them their whole careers. You have many of these mainstream financial advisors that have always promoted saying they do not want annuities. But what we're finding is we're living longer. We're getting ourselves in a situation where tax rates are going up, and therefore annuities can become a great way to give us inflation-adjusted lifetime income. And if that's put in a Roth, it can be even tax-free inflation-adjusted lifetime income.
All right, Dave. Well, it looks like we got a few more questions coming in. I'm going to try to keep up with everyone. And my next one I have is from Chantil. And she asked, Dave, I really enjoy your webinar on CPA Academy. I look forward to your podcast series.
Chantel, thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate your support. I love it when we get repeat viewers, repeat watchers, depending, I guess, on the webinar. Sometimes we have technical issues and we can't do video, so we only do audio. But I'm happy that you're here. I hope you enjoy what you learned from the podcast, from these events, from the webinars. Because again, if I can get you to gain a knowledge that you didn't have before and then be able to use that to change your life, I've done my part, and I feel very good about what I'm doing on a daily basis to help people.
And Dave, for those who are thinking to themselves, what about the podcast? So the podcast is something you release a new episode every Friday. I believe you're coming up on episode 32 of season 2. And so you're going through and just really getting into in-depth personal retirement issues. I mean, we're talking Social Security, you're talking reverse mortgages. There's so many things you cover. So again, if you're here watching us, you also have webinars to enjoy, but we also have podcasts.
And you get to know myself and CR much better. Usually I share a personal story in the podcast as I'm going through the process. I relate to whatever the topic of the week is. And then CR and I answer questions there as well. And we talk about crazy things that happen in our lives and crazy things that have gone on. So it is a great place to not only get educated, but to get better connected with people that are here trying to help you.
Exactly. Well, Mike's on again. Mike, welcome. It's good to see you again on our show. And he's asking, when converting a traditional IRA that includes principal and capital gains to a Roth, are the capital gains taxed at capital gain rates or taxed at the income tax rate?
Mike, welcome back. Glad to have you here again. And great question. One of the things you've got to understand with a traditional retirement account, traditional IRA, traditional 401k, there is no such thing as a capital gain, unfortunately, when you're taking money out of these accounts. So when you take it out as a distribution, or if you take it out as a rollover into an IRA, a Roth IRA, you're going to have to pay it at your current ordinary income tax rates. One of the reasons that many people have against putting money into these deferred accounts, and especially if tax rates end up going up, is now what you did is you took assets that maybe could have been taxed as capital gains, deferred them into a period where you may now be paying even higher taxes, and all you've done is hurt yourself with what you've put together and what you plan to do.
Mike, I hope that answers your question. And again, if you're watching live, please go ahead and submit your questions to us, and Dave will do his best if we can, like we've been trying today, and make sure we get those answered. And if you have a follow-up question, please go ahead and submit that as well. And Dave, I just want to make sure everyone knows at the end of our show today, we're actually going to be giving away a couple gift cards and some t-shirts for those who joined you for your 100th webinar. So I'm pretty excited about that piece.
Yeah, I am too. Very excited to be able to provide these freebies to those who participated in the event. And I was so excited to have those that were there for the 100th show. We had, I think, almost 800 people in that show. So almost 1,000 people had signed up. Some of them can't end up making it last minute, but we had almost 800 people in that 100th show.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's awesome. Dave, my next one I have is from Chester. Is a taxable distribution from an estate one of the exceptions to allow me to fight my increased Medicare premiums?
Let me explain this a little bit too, just to make sure that those who are watching and participating here understand how this works. So what happens is if your income's too high, the initial threshold's about $170,000 per year for a married couple. If your income's above that threshold, your Medicare premiums are going to be higher, but it's a 2-year delay. So what happens is if you had high income in 2018, in 2020, you're going to have higher Medicare premiums if you're on Medicare. Now, there are things that can happen that will allow you to fight that with the government. If you end up losing your job, if you end up losing income producing property, if you get divorced, if you get married, basic things that happen in your family to change your income structure from what it may have been 2 years ago when you had such a high income stream, you can fight that. But unfortunately, there are two big ones we always get asked about, this one and Roth IRA conversions that do not qualify on the list. So if you had a taxable inheritance, that's not going to be a reason to lower your premiums 2 years later to try to get those premiums back down to the $144.60 that you would currently pay for Part B premiums.
All right, Dave. Well, I'm just going to jump in again. I'm just kind of jumping back and forth, so bear with me. And we've got Melinda, who's way excited about the giveaways at the end, so we're pretty pumped. But Dave, I wanted to jump over and ask Gary's question. He says, do you have an opinion on the rollovers as business startups 401k?
Yeah, I don't, Gary. I apologize. It's not something that I know anything about what you're referring to here. And I know about self-directed and those type of conversions, but I've never heard this term. So maybe you want to try to clarify if there's something there that I can help with, but I don't have an opinion in regards to what you're specifically referring to here.
Dave, I love that we're able to just come on and just throw a million questions at you. I'm so grateful for you for spending the time to do this and to go through and really just answer all these questions, because from everyone live and from myself, I feel like it's just so awesome to be here. And I really appreciate that you are really sincerely interested in helping people through retirement, not just getting to the door, but actually getting all the way through it. And I really appreciate that.
You're welcome, CR. This is what you get when you have 6 kids. They ask questions all the time. So that's your life. Every time you get in front of them, they're just asking more and more questions. So you get good at answering questions, and you get to a point where hopefully you've educated yourself to where you can help people. And that's really my goal, is to make sure I have the knowledge. And again, unfortunately, it's a broad subject. There's going to be things like Gary asked there I'm not going to know about. And there may be things that my opinion is going to be different than yours. But I'm happy to give you as much information and knowledge as I have inside of my brain that I can share to try to help you have a better retirement.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dave, my next one I have is from Sandra. And she says, if someone dies with an insurance product and they haven't told anyone else they own it, will the insurance company actively try to notify the family to let them know the product exists?
Sandra, unfortunately, no. There is not going to be an outreach. There's not going to be someone trying to get a hold of you. Really an issue. There's tons of unclaimed property out there in the United States. It's not just even insurance products. There's a bundle of other 401ks. In fact, so that's one of the issues right now they're talking about, is trying to get a 401k registry, because many people had jobs where they had 401ks, then they left and they don't even think about it or realize, because it was money they never saw. So there's just tons of money out there in these 401ks that would be available for people. Things I would recommend. One is make sure that if someone's getting to the point they're about ready to pass on, you try to get as much information as you can from them for what they would have available. Two, make sure that you have forwarding addresses and information. Three, make sure you have access to their email. So much of what we get now is through email. You may not even get any paper documents. So if that email gets shut down and you can't get in when they pass away, you may never know that these things exist. I guess the fourth thing would be for not only these type of products, but for anything else, is go to your state's unclaimed property website and see what's out there. Amazing. I know I've gotten a number of notices this last year, just in the last 2 months. I've gotten thousands of dollars that I had no idea I was entitled to from different businesses I've been a part of that have owed us money or something. And they're sending the letter saying, hey, we're going to send this to the state if you don't claim it. And it's like, oh, I had no idea I even had that there.
And I'd say fifth, Dave, if you want to add to that list, is make sure you find somebody that you trust in a circle that can help you make these decisions before you make them also, because a lot of times we're making decisions, or especially when we become older, we don't always have our mind to be crisp and clear. And so we tend to make a lot of mistakes. But if we bring people in from family or friends or advisors that we really trust, and then we get other people involved, I think it's going to help us. So we're not just going to be letting this kind of go and then all of a sudden realize, oh, I didn't even know they had anything.
Yeah, the biggest thing you can do to help, especially if you're in a situation where you've got assets that you're going to transfer, you really need to have those discussions before you die. And I know nobody wants to talk about their death, but I saw it even with my own parents. Both my parents have passed on now. My mom died very young. She died at 60. My dad died at 72. But I remember going in after they passed away. Now, my dad had been remarried, so there was a second wife that came into the mix, and she outlived my dad, but she's also now passed away. But going in and just uncertain, because my parents had never really talked about it, is there even money to bury her? You know, what's going to happen? What assets are even available? Is there insurance policies? Now, luckily, my dad kept a file, and my stepmom kept a file that had all this information in it. So we were able to go through a file cabinet, find it, and then quickly file the paperwork to get access to these assets. But it really is important that you provide that information, that you share it. And even at a younger age, you know I did it. I had my kidney transplant a year ago, as you know, CR and others know. I prepared a very detailed list for my wife and kids saying, hey, I have no idea what's going to happen. I expect to live, but if I don't, here's what we have. Here's what's available. You need to make sure you can get access to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dave, Gary's coming around for round 3 here. Let me see if we can stump you again. Let's see what he says. He says, do you think an IUL should be established for a child for achieving a tax-free retirement objective as young as 3 months old, per the most powerful force in the universe?
Gary, I am an absolute fan of getting these policies for young children, for getting them. I know even in my situation. And I've got a hereditary issue of kidney failure. Myself and 2 of my siblings have had transplants. My mother died of kidney failure. My grandmother died of kidney failure, and I've got another brother on dialysis. So give you a good idea of where we stand. Well, because of this, my children now have a 50% chance of having the same problem. Well, if I look at this, they've not been diagnosed. They don't know that they have it. The best thing I can do for them, and what we've done, is put these policies in place while they're healthy, let them grow over years in the tax-free environment, so they have the ability to have these funds available to them in the future. And time value of money is a huge issue. So, Gary, I'm not sure it's going to be the absolutely most powerful force, but it's got to be close when you look at it from a retirement perspective.
Yeah, and Dave, we've got a lot of great comments coming in. John Till said, great information. She's really happy. Lynn said, working with a trusted advisor can be invaluable. Someone who is truly invested in assisting the family, not just selling products. How powerful is that?
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I saw it throughout my career as a CPA and an advisor. When you go through that situation, I've worked with so many people that it's all about themselves. It's all about what I can make. In fact, I was talking to someone about a year ago in Puerto Rico, and they were trying to get me more involved with what they were doing. And they were bragging about how much they were getting paid on annuities. Well, it was huge. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're getting paid that, but you just stuck the person that you're helping with that fee, because that fee is all going to you and they have to pay it. And I was so disgusted. And their whole platform was based upon these high fee annuities and how happy they all were and how much money they were making. And I'm like, that's the worst absolutely possible thing that could happen. And it's, if I told you the company, it's well known, everybody know who it is, but it's like you're truly promoting, and the guy who owns it is promoting that you guys go sell these products to people. Ridiculous and embarrassing, for the industry, and sad, because people get saddled with someone like that, and then they hate products that can really help them. It's not the product that sucks oftentimes. It's the giving you the wrong one and the guy selling it to you or the lady.
And Dave, I just want to be forward and honest of why we're here, because one of the things I love about what you do is you are sincerely here just to help people find answers to their retirement questions or issues, and to really live, because we're living longer. So to help them get through that time. And I really find that valuable too, is you're not here just to pad your wallet. You're here to really help people to sincerely say, I want to help you find your answers to your retirement, because there's so much out there. There's so much fraud. And I love what Lynn says, is truly interested in assisting family and not just selling products. And I really feel like that's what you do. And that's why we're here, because I want to be behind somebody who believes in that, who is not just here to say, cha-ching. It's really about helping.
Well, and that's one of the things that I like about the advisors we work with. As I mentioned, I don't do any advising anymore. I mean, I'll answer people's questions. I'll go through and give my opinions at times, but I'm not out there actively putting plans together. So we rely on other people, because oftentimes people want to know how they can get to a tax-free and risk-free retirement. And so we refer them to other people that have gone through years of training, that have had to take certification courses to be able to be qualified in what we teach. But what I love about it is they do a side-by-side comparison. I mean, that's what's awesome about what they do. It's not like, okay, well, we're not going to tell you what you're currently doing would work out to be. We're just going to tell you what we're doing and try to make it look great. You're not going to tell you that what you already had in your wallet was way better than what we can provide. What they're saying is, look, if you keep going down the path you're on, this is what you have. If you take the path I'm suggesting, this is what you have. And now you have the option to pick. You can say, look, the path I'm on seems to be much better for me. I'm going to stay exactly where I'm at. Or it's no, I really see where those risks are being reduced. I see where I could have maybe a better retirement than what I was expecting on. And now I can make those transitions and make those changes. But so valuable. And so much money is wasted on unnecessary fees. It's really sad out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dave, I just wanted to throw one more in, because I know we're over time, but I thought this was really valuable from Fred. And Fred, I love seeing you here. You're here quite a bit each week, and I appreciate that. And Fred said, I was just notified last week by Social Security that I had 4 401ks, pensions that I might have. They listed each of the companies I worked at and the amount last reported. This may be a good way to track down items.
Yeah, a very good recommendation. I didn't realize that Social Security would actually send out that information. I'm guessing one of those probably is a government pension. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Fred. Might be because of windfall elimination provisions or government pension offsets. But regardless, yeah, if they will provide this information, great way to be able to look and see what's out there. I read the other day what the number was. I mean, it was astonishing how much money's out there that people just don't even realize they have from a 401k retirement side.
Exactly. Well, Dave, I just wanted to pop on and just let people know, because they talk about your webinars and the things they enjoy. So I just want to let everyone know that you have currently 9 webinars you're part of, and you've got 4 coming. And so we have 2 of them we're going to talk about here. But so again, you can go to CPA Academy, or you just even go to the prosperityguy.com and click on events, and you'll see the list of all of these, including Dave, tell me about this new one here. This is kind of an interesting topic.
Yeah, this really is. We've been asked by the platform to actually give a presentation on what Joe Biden's presidency could mean to your retirement. Now, he's got a number of changes that he has proposed that could really affect retirement plans. And it's something that I think will be very interesting to those who are looking at the future. Now, the one thing you've always got to remember is anytime a president comes in, it isn't a guarantee that their proposals are going to get through Congress, the Senate, everything that needs to be done. But he provides some interesting insight into what retirement plans might look like in the future, depending on who has power and control. And very important that people understand the effect that it may have on their retirement.
And I know we've talked about some of the other ones on this platform before, but one other one I just want to throw a little piece in, because obviously I'm going to be part of it, so I'm quite excited. But here's another one. It's very similar to what we're doing here on this platform, but we're going to do it on the webinar platform. So give me just a quick piece on this one.
Yeah, so we do these classes on the government programs. You see them, Social Security, Medicare, and reverse mortgage, which many people don't realize that reverse mortgage is a government-backed program for the loans there. But when we look at this, they're always the classes we get a ton of questions. It's not uncommon for me to teach an hour class and walk away with almost 100 unanswered questions. So we thought it would be fun to do a webinar where people can come in live like this, get CPE credit if you're a CPA. If not, you just get to enjoy the questions and answered. Now, we will have some questions that we get asked, mainly the top questions that we'll have available to get started with, but we're hoping that the whole hour is just spent like it is here, answering questions that those in the presentation have.
And Dave, I just think it's awesome that we have the opportunity to do this. And obviously, again, we're telling everybody about your webinars. And so that gives you multiple, I mean, that's, you're going to almost be up to 15 different webinars. So I'm just super excited that we're able to do that. Plus we have the podcast. Obviously we have Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So we're just very grateful for all these platforms to share so much information.
And another exciting thing, CR, is we've got the Prosperity Club where people can get instant access to the webinars now if they'd like to. Now, there's not going to be credits for that if you're a professional and looking for educational credits, but you can get access. We've created brochures. We've got questions in there. But also, CPA Academy is wanting us to launch self-study CPE courses on these topics. So I'm in the process of doing that. So no matter how you want to consume this information, whether it's in a non-CPE environment where you're doing it through our website, or you have clients that maybe you want to share the information with, or friends, you can do it there. You can do it through a live environment with CPA Academy, or you can do it through self-study through them. So really exciting to see the options. We're also reaching out to many other platforms now as we do more webinars. Other groups come to us and ask us to do presentations for them, and we are doing a lot more of those on a consistent basis now as well.
And Dave, before we go, I know we're way over time, but we wanted to do our giveaway for our 100th webinar. I'm very excited about this.
I am very excited as well. This is super exciting to see that we're here and that we can give away some free stuff and just hopefully help make people's days a little brighter.
So Dave, everybody's been entering through WooRise. It's an online platform where you can go and put your name in, and it automatically will select the winners. So I have 2 winners we're going to announce today. And for those, if you are here live or if you're on replay, go ahead and I'll contact you. I've got your information, and I'll make sure we get your Amazon gift card and your t-shirt for you. But the 2 names we've selected, well, WooRise has selected, is Joyce Thomas and Janet Krell. That's Krell. So congratulations. I wish I had like streamers and some balloons and all that. But Dave, for all those who have been on here, I want to see if it's okay if I give a t-shirt away for somebody who's been watching us live today.
Yes, I would love it if you would do that. I think that would be super awesome. I'm super happy if you would do that, CR.
So out of that little list there we put together, my winner I have is Gary Wong. So Gary Wong will be getting a t-shirt for joining us live today. So again, thank you so much for everyone for being here. And Gary, I'm sure I have your email. I'll shoot you an email. We'll get your shirt size as well.
Yeah, congratulations, Gary. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. We're very happy to have you here. Please, 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 if we can help you in any way, let us know. That's what we're here for, is we want to make your retirement better than it maybe looked yesterday, so you can have a better future than maybe you're currently even experiencing.
And again, Dave, just before we go, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Karen said she's already signed up for the webinar, and it looks like everyone's just excited and ready. So again, thank you for being part of this platform, the webinar platforms, the podcast. All that can be found at theprosperityguy.com. Go ahead and go there, and you can find everything we've been talking about today. And Fred said, thanks for the presentation. Anyways, we're just so thankful for all of you for being here. And we'll see you again next Wednesday. And I'll be in studio at 11 a.m. Central, and Dave will be on another grand adventure. And we'll see you guys all then.
See you guys.
Bye.